here's a map of the world in 2 dimensions. I assume you're familiar with it. I've circled Greenland, and when you look at it this way, it maybe seems an odd place to focus too much of our energy on. It's mostly snowy, and we don't really talk about it much. And so for all of you map people or physics people, when you look at a map this way in 2 dimensions, you are aware that it's not a really good representation of our Earth because our Earth is a 3-dimensional Earth ball. And so on a 2D map, the Arctic all the way up at the top, it's not really represented right. So let's look at the globe this way now. This is looking down at the globe from the Arctic. That circle in the center there is the North Pole. And for all of human history, that North Pole is pretty much covered in ice. It's not particularly navigable, meaning like getting through with boats or even dog sleds or walking or hiking. Like it's really hard to get through. But we have climate change going on now, and that has melted a lot of the ice up there, and it has made navigable what was once not particularly navigable. Or there's some places in the Arctic that you can get through only during certain times of the year. I know marine researchers who are up there, y'all know what I'm talking about. And so when you look at the globe this way, you can see North America is actually really close to Russia, Asia, all those other parts of the globe. And the way through from our continent to these other continents is now far easier than ever before in human history because of all of the ice melt. And now it's much easier to get through up there. And so this is some of why the Arctic and Greenland has been on the radar for the United States and North America recently. If you've not been aware, President Trump, along with Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they've been talking about Greenland being a part of the United States. If it's ours, we can defend it better up there. That's the idea anyways. Greenland is a part of Denmark, but it governs itself, and Greenland has been a very solid no ever since this idea got floated. And so President Trump has floated that idea of taking it nicely. Greenland has said no, and Donald Trump has also floated the idea of taking Greenland by force, forcing it to be ours. The Trump administration did try to buy Greenland, and as I said, Greenland totally rejected this. And then the Trump administration gave Greenland $12 million for, quote, aid and, quote, economic development. The Trump administration also reopened the U.S. consulate in Greenland, which had been non-existent since 1953. So where do our Senate candidates stand on Greenland? So I just have a short little chart here. You can see Sherrod and Jon Husted, and then I have whether they support taking Greenland. So this can either be by force or by playing nice. And then are they assertive in saying so? Are they very direct and loud about their stance on the issue? So here is what the chart looks like. Here's the take-home message. And now here is what I mean by each of these things. So starting with Sherrod Brown, does he support the United States taking Greenland? No. Has he been direct and assertive in saying that? Yes. So Sherrod Brown has criticized Donald Trump's focus and spending regarding Greenland. He has argued that the resources should instead be directed towards us here in Ohio, in the United States, and not Greenland. One thing he is specifically talking about is that $12 million that the Trump administration gave to Greenland. Sherrod Brown's like, ooh, what that could do for Ohio schools or healthcare. And he is quoted as saying, people voted for somebody that promised to lower prices and promised to focus on jobs in the United States. Not Greenland, not Venezuela, not Iran. And I think people, a lot of people, are displeased because they don't see the focus of our government. And Jon Husted is doing nothing to call them out. Okay, so again, does Sherrod Brown support taking Greenland? No. And is he assertively saying that? Yes. Okay, so Jon Husted, does he support taking Greenland? I have a no/sort of. And then is he very assertive and direct and loud about this? Not really. Okay, so Jon Husted thinks the United States, Greenland, and Denmark share a strategic interest in the Arctic. Jon Husted thinks that China and Russia have been increasing their military and economic stuff going on in the Arctic, and so that has created security concerns in the Arctic region. I looked this up, fact check, and it is quite true. China and Russia have indeed been aggressively amping up their spending in the Arctic in pretty much any way that you might be thinking of it. Jon Husted has a quote as saying, "The United States having a bigger presence in Greenland makes sense from a strategic point of view. However, it needs to be done through diplomatic channels, and I believed that Secretary Rubio is going to achieve that. We would benefit from just focusing on a diplomatic solution and not be more aggressive than that." So as you can see from the chart, Jon Husted is not really in support of taking Greenland, but he would like us to diplomatically be involved up there due to security concerns. And is he very assertive and loud about that stance? No, he is not. Okay, I have a longer form video on our Senate candidates in regards to all the wars that have been around since 2000. And I include in that Greenland, Venezuela, Iran, and older things. So you can watch that with a link I'll have in the video description for you. I also have on screen right now, if it helps you, the basic tenets that each of our candidates have in regards to how the United States can be in less wars and find peace. Sherrod Brown comes at it from more of a diplomacy and strong sanctions viewpoint, and Jon Husted has a viewpoint that's a bit more peace through strength. When it comes to Greenland, both of our candidates are in agreement that we should not be taking it by force and making it another U.S. state or territory. But beyond that, their views are a little differing.